everyone, back with another video, and this time I wanted to look at a heavier version of a saber that I already looked at, and that is this time here the InMotu old school practice saber M1 curved. Before we get to that though, formalities out of the way as per usual. So first and foremost, I paid for this with my own money. I bought this for myself. Paul Becker in Motu was not aware that there was going to be a review. The structure of the video will be the same as always, meaning that after these formalities here, there will be my talking bit where I go over why I got this, ordering process, stats, things I liked, things I maybe didn't like, stuff like that. Then wrap it up in a conclusion. Then there will be a picture with the stats again, so you can pause and look at those. There will also be more pictures, just assembled, disassembled, stuff like that. And then there will also probably be some fencing footage, so you can just look at that. Might also link to another video down in the description. And what you'll also find there, of course, is the timestamp, so you can jump around and just look at the bits that interest you. Okay, with that out of the way, then let's move right on. Why did I get this? Well, I'm always curious for things. I like swords, and I'm always looking for stuff that I can actually recommend my students. For a time we had it rather good, and there were lots of options for the stuff I do. Hutton, light military saber, light infantry saber on the market. Then there was a bit of a drought, heavy Regenier face, then there were some more options, and at the moment it's, yeah, there are some, but always looking for more. Then I also reviewed the straight light version before, and I quite liked that. And I was immediately interested in what Paul would do with the curved version that he announced. So I was already looking forward to this. And then after he had announced them and they were available, I actually got this first. The lighter version I actually only bought because I really couldn't resist. But this is the one that I actually wanted to get because I was more looking for a saber that I could recommend the people in my class for things. I also just generally am quite a fan of the standardized approach to all this, that it's a standard sports tang, that it's just something that's very easy to find grips for, to print, for example, and other guards to fit on. So quite fond of that, really. Getting it was easy, really, because, well, Paul has a pretty solid website. You just go there, you order, you pay with the payment method that is available that you prefer. Then I got the regular Shopify updates about where my order was. And yeah, it was in stock for me, so I got this really fairly quickly and absolutely no complaints about that, really. Then when it got to me, what did I actually get? Well, the TLDL version of this is basically you get the light version, but more of it, kind of. So there is lots of similar, if not downright same stats going on. For example, if you look at the overall length of the thing, it's 104 centimeters of sword that you're getting. Of that, the grip is 13.5 centimeters long. This is the 3D printed black grip that has the lead insert, so you can vary the weight a bit. It's the most expensive option, but also the most substantial, that's the word I'm looking for, that you can get for those. Then, the basket, when I ordered it, there wasn't actually an option for any kind of choice in that, but I think from what I'm reading on the website, this would be if you now choose the heavier option, and that is what I would have got anyway. It's 11.5 centimeters wide, which isn't overly wide, but wide enough, even if you wear gloves, which is nice. And it's 2mm material, which is really quite solid. This will last a while. I like the general shape of it, really, I have to say. The weight, it's 808-ish grams, roundabout. And it has a POB of 10.5 centimeters. As I mentioned, there's a lead insert that you can put into the grip that adds 30-ish or more grams. If I got it right in the weighting in, then this makes it 836 grams and it pulls the POB back about a centimeter. The real interesting part is why I actually wanted to get this mostly is the blade. of course. It has a slight curve to it, rather straight-ish, but it is a curve, which I like. I like my sabers to have a curve to it. And I really like the geometry of it. So if we just look at the taper that we have, then we start 70 millimeters at the shell, at the basket, depending on how you want to call it. Then when we go down to the POB, we have a slight taper and go down to 15 millimeters. Then we go to 13 at about the middle of the blade, and then we have 11 just before the tip and 11 at the tip, because it just stays the same width for the rolled tip. Then we have the distal taper, of course. We start at a nice substantial 7 millimeters, go down to 6 millimeters for the POB, then down to 4 at the middle of the blade, and then we go down to 2 for the bit just before the rolled tip, and the rolled tip thickens it out to 7 millimeters again. It has a nice flex. It's not overly flexible, it's not wobbly, but it does have a nice flex for your partner. I certainly haven't heard any complaints in that regard. I have to say, just, listing the stats like that, it doesn't maybe sound too exciting, but just looking at it, it's really nice. I could fawn over this a bit. It's just nice having a blade that's obviously really had some thought put into it, where the strong, where the fort is actually a nice fort. This is really nice for parrying, and that has an interesting distal taper to it. So I really quite like it for that. Then other things I've noticed, just using this a bit, handling it. Some points, some are more just personal taste, some are maybe a bit more objective, depends a bit on how you look at it really. So first thing I would say that the first reaction, and you can actually see that if you look at the unboxing that it did, is this is a bit heavier than I thought it would be from the looks. It's not heavy as in dead weight, but it's not a brick, it's not, dead as in died, not fatherly. It's still nice in the hand, but it is heavier than I thought it would be, and it is actually a bit heavier than what I would want a saber for Hutton to be for me. It makes it a bit awkward really, because the lighter one is a bit lighter than I would like it to be for Hutton work, so I would need something in between. And I'm not quite alone with that, because I know that other people had the same reaction when it comes to this saber, really. And also talking to Paul, I think he himself would have liked it to be a bit lighter himself. So there might be a chance, if you look at these and if you look at the stats and think, that is a bit heavier than I would like, there is a lighter basket option now, and might be worth checking back with Paul if a new batch, when there is one, has turned out a bit lighter, maybe. That being said, it's not bad. Again, it's just, ideally speaking. I can fence Hutton absolutely fine with it. The only quote-unquote downside is that this is relatively long. This is longer than my other sabers and a bit longer than the other sabers around in my club, so it sometimes feels a bit like cheating. Leg shots get easier with this compared to when using my other sabers, really. As I said, I like the flex. It's not wobbly, but it is a nice flex that you have. It flexes at a nice part of the blade. One thing that is a bit mixed for me is the grip. Really, I like the general feel of it, but I would wish, because what you do in Hutton is, and other things I do, is you put the thumb on the back of the grip. And you can do that here. It's not that you don't have the option, and it's not that it feels bad, but this is rounded still here, and your thumb can slide off. That is less of a problem in the lighter one because it is lighter. But here you have some more forces going into the saber when moving it around, or when parrying, or when actually cutting someone, landing a hit. So it is much easier here actually to just slip off, especially with how the grain of the print goes. I would wish I wished we had the option to maybe get another variant of the grip that has a bit of a flatter back. Paul has it in his older Sabre that he did with Berberkusch. That one has a flatter back, and that is perfectly fine for the thumb. And it wouldn't need to be much, really. It's just something would be nice. It works like it is, but honestly, I think I'll just try, after the review, I'll just try to modify this and make it work better for me. Now, the good thing, and that's then another absolute pro for this whole construct that he has with the M1 and the M2, is that that's a standardized tang that he has there, so all the guards fit onto each other, and it's easy to find printable grips that fit a sport tang that you can just use for that. I know that Oliver Janseps has made a printable Mensur grip available that is very ergonomic and very nice to have, and I had that on the lighter straight blade for a good while, and you could just print that and put that on here and you're done, really, you're good to go. So that is something that I really appreciate. It also means that should anything go wrong with any of these parts, you can just easily get a new one and just replace the one that you want and not need to replace everything else about it. Or if you have the heavier blade and just would like the option to switch it out, then just get the light blade and you have something that you can just do and switch around. Oliver does that a lot, really. While I carry my heavy bag of all the stuff there when I want to go fencing, Oliver just comes with a bag of parts and just assembles things as needed, which I'm sometimes a bit jealous of, really. And that fits right into that concept, really. Then, all in all, as I said, blade geometry, I really like that. I don't want to harp too much about it, but yeah, just making that point again. One thing that is a bit of a detour, but that I also want to mention, forgot about that when talking about the tang, is that I've seen the word rat tail tang being thrown about in the internet a bit more, subjectively at least, or maybe I just stumbled upon more threads on Reddit that talked about rat tails or wondering if their thoughts were rat tails. And just to be sure, should that be a worry here, then no, this isn't a rat tail. A rat tail used to be the expression for a cheaply welded on bad thin tang that would break off and let the blade fly around when you swing a blade. This is not the case here. This is part of the blade. It's thin, but it's sturdy. Just like with the lighter blade, this one is quite robust overall, and I do not see any problem with the tang. Just think of sports blade. Yes, they're on the lighter end, but if you look at recordings, how bent these blades get, the forces that get put into the tang as well, if it wouldn't work for those either, and they survive quite a lot of really heavy, stressful use. They will be fine, really. I don't think you need to worry about that at all, to be honest. So, all in all, just, conclusion time a bit. This is a nice blade, really. I would have absolutely no problems. I have absolutely no problem recommending this. There are some points that make this less of an ideal blade for Hutton. As I said, the light one I would like to be a bit more substantial. I would like the heavier one here to be a bit lighter, something in between. But as I said, Paul seems to think so himself, so maybe the next iteration of this blade will get a bit lighter. But I like the flexible, interchangeable nature of the parts. I love that you can mix and match. It seems all really well made, and just from handling it now, it seems like something that I will have fun with for quite a long time. Other than the weight, what I don't like, but that's a personal point again, is I like that you have the option for changing the weight in the grip, but I don't like how it feels having it in, so I always leave those out. But then again, as I mentioned with the grip as well, because it being rounded at the back that your thumb can slip off, because it is all standardized, you can just get a different one. So this is really interesting. Maybe you just want to get the grip, the nut and the guard and two blades, and then you can switch at will. Those are the options that are here, and either of these or that one that we're looking at right now, I can definitely recommend, and I think you'd have a lot of fun with it. So thumbs up from me, definitely. Cheers.